here, welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be making fard de Bretagne, which is a traditional French sweet tray bake, and I was given the recipe when I was 14 by the mother of a girl that I used to be a pen pal with and went over and visited. It's traditionally made with prunes, although I think you can use any type of dried fruit. I'm going to use raisins today because I don't have any prunes in the cupboard, so raisins are fine. Now I normally double up the quantity and I use a large tray bake dish, but I'm going to just halve the quantity today and put it in my lasagna dish. But just in case you didn't like it, I thought, well, you wouldn't want to waste 6 eggs, so it's worth just halving the quantity to have a little play around with, really. You'll need 100 grams of any dried fruit. You could use cranberries, cherries, prunes, apricots, anything really. And I'm just going to soak the raisins in some boiling water because they were a bit dry. And I'm also going to put some rum in, although that isn't part of the traditional recipe, but because of the time of year I thought I'll just add a little bit of Christmas sozzle. Why not, eh? I've just put some boiling water in there and I'm just going to let them soak until I need to use them, which will be at the end of the recipe. So I'll put those to one side. And for the rest of the recipe, you need 100 grams of plain flour, 100 grams of white granulated sugar, 3 eggs, 500 mils or 1 pint of milk, and some vanilla extract. Now, whatever you use to make your bacon, then always remember to grease it first. So I'm just going to put a little bit of butter in there and then just wipe it round, just to get right into the corners. And I can set that aside for now as well. Now you're going to need quite a big mixing bowl, and the first thing to do is to break the 3 eggs and whisk them. They don't need to be frothy, just combined. And then add in your sugar. And now the flour. And make sure all that's combined. Now add your pint of milk. You can do it gradually, just so it doesn't slosh everywhere. And just make sure everything's smooth as you mix it in. You want it to be a nice smooth mixture. You can see it's a very liquid consistency now, and that's what you want. Imagine if you're doubling this up, you're going to need a much bigger mixing bowl. That looks and feels nicely combined now. I'm just going to add a couple of drops of vanilla. You can also use the vanilla from a vanilla pod. And in fact, the original recipe that my friend's mother gave me, they used to have little packets of vanilla flavoured sugar, which they just put in as part of the sugar. So now you get your dish and you pour everything just straight into the dish. Now my raisins feel a lot more juicy now and less dry and hard, which is quite nice. I've just strained them off, so I'm just going to sprinkle them around into the mixture. You sort of just make sure that they're all evenly spaced around the bottom. If you're using prunes, it's a lot easier. So that's going to go in the oven now, and I'll come back and show you when that's done. I've just taken it out of the oven, and this is the sort of finish that you want. You want to be able to just bounce it on top like that. Now that needs to just be left to cool, and you can see it's risen slightly here, and that will go down, but you need to leave it to cool until it's completely cold, because it's eaten cold. And in fact you can actually put it in the fridge when it's cold. So I'll let it cool down now, and I'll show you what it's like when it's cool. It's cooled down now, so I'm just going to have some with a cup of tea. As you can see, it's sort of slightly shrunk in against the edges. You can remove it, but when I was in France, they just cut it out of the tray bake. Just sort of cut a small square. As you can see, it's a bit like an egg custard almost. There's a sort of layer of flour and fruit at the bottom, and then you've got this sort of nice egg custard layer on the top, and then this skin forms. And you can eat this with your hands, but I'm going to eat it with a fork because it's quite sticky. I'll just have a little taste. Cool, that really takes me back to Brittany and sitting in some of the farmhouses with my pen pals aunties, and a cup of tea, a cup of coffee, and a bit of far. Absolutely delicious. It's quite sweet. If you're not so keen on sweet things, then you could reduce the sugar by about half and it'll still be fine. So I hope you enjoyed watching me make my far, and I'd be interested to know what you think if you try it. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you again soon.